Hey, what's going on, everybody? Lawn people showed up just as we're starting the show. Fantastic. Welcome to the show. Hey, this is our sort of our next iteration of our Be About It show. What does that mean? That means we're going to be actually showing you guys real demos, things we're using right now that we're either using for clients or using for ourselves, but they're all workable demos in some various state or form. And that's what we're going to be going over. And I think what would be easier is we're just going to go around the horn here as we do the intro, and then we'll intro the show. And we're just going to say really quick what we're doing. So I'll start off with me really quick. I'm going to be showing two demos. One, I'm going to be showing a new way to do custom GPTs using a router system. Thought hard about whether I wanted to share it, but I thought, you know what? I do. I want to share that. And the other one is I'm going to show people how to simply take some documents you have, some transcripts perhaps, and throw them into Supabase and how to set up some Supabase tables and templates. So that's with me. Beth, what do you got? Mute. You're on mute.
I'm also working with transcripts. Brian and I are coming to these from two different places. So I am showing creating custom scripts to edit the transcripts after a simple pass of another custom script using Python scripts to be able to take a transcript that is uncorrected and move it to a corrected transcript. And then I'm showing our thumbnail process, building something in Midjourney and then moving it into Canva.
Okay. Jimmy, what do you got?
I wanted to approach for anyone who's new to the show and specifically new to AI and identifying the common internet behaviors and how you can move them to an AI first or use AI in that process. And I'm going to give an example of something that I do run into all the time. Not having enough information about something I've seen and I need to track it down, and the results that I've gotten from O3 and things like that.
Andy?
Yeah, I'm gonna briefly show the application I vibe coded in lovable.dev, but jump quickly to how I use ChatGPT o3 to support some of the process of that in content design and creation. And then I'm going to show you how I'm using GenSpark to recreate the entire process just by looking at what I built for a totally new course.
Okay. And Karl is just joining us now, so I'll just talk for Karl. Karl says he's going to be showing a combination of automation and deep research for a client that they're working with, researching, no double checking, and reconfirming old prospects in their new database. So as Karl comes in, he can talk about that. Okay. So there's sort of a long, short, but there's like what you're going to get out of the next 50-ish minutes of this. And so with these shows, we do typically move a little fast, but we also know that you guys can always go back and look at the recordings. If you happen to be just listening to us and you don't watch us, this is going to be one of those shows. We'll do our best to describe it, but this is going to be one of those shows where you're probably always going to be best. You know, you can always go back over to YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify, we have video. The video podcast is also on Spotify, so you can find us there. If you're like on Apple Podcasts or somewhere else where you're just in listening mode, hey, we appreciate you. This is a lot of like probably show intel. So if anything sounds interesting to you as we go through the show, just know that you can always go back to the recording of it on YouTube and find it and see what we did on the screen. So that's everything. This is the Daily AI Show. Today is April 25th, 2025. Man, they are well timed today, guys. The mowers are well timed today. I'm sure it's not coming through my mic, but it's like the minute I say something, they're going past my window. So it's Friday. It's Aloha Friday. A couple of us got Aloha shirts on. So let's dive into this. Who wants to show? Do you guys want me to kick it off, or who wants to show the first demo here? I'll tell you what. I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off with the ChatGPT one, and I have a fun one to show on this. So just give me a second to get my the screen I want up for this. And as I'm pulling this up, let me tell you why I'm sharing this. And this, I'm sort of following my own previous advice. And so the quick background of this is my wife and I had a online nutrition company that we had after the CrossFit gym, but it was for CrossFitters. And my wife's a dietitian. I think I mentioned that before. And so this was nutritional advice for CrossFitters. Okay, the reason I'm even bringing that up is not another CrossFit story, is to say that one of our tenets as we were putting out content, free content, was to give away 90% of what we knew, our knowledge, our everything, for free and then charge for the last 10%. And this is not something we didn't come up with that. It's just something that really, really helped us with our business. And as I was thinking about demos to show today, I realized that I was holding this, what I'm about to show you, a little too close to the vest. This is the front edge of how I am currently doing custom GPTs. I'm not here to say other people aren't doing something better. I'm just telling you that I have unlocked a new level of what custom GPTs can do using the exact process I'm about to show you guys. So with that, let me pull it up on the screen. And so what I did was I have a custom GPT. I'll share this link with everybody if you want to play with it. This is more just for the demo. So what I did was I created a custom GPT, and in this case, I love a good choose your own adventure from when I was a kid. So start adventure here, and then the first thing it's going to do is ask us for 3 pieces of information. I'll quickly ask our host here. I also have a demo that I can show that's already run. But Jimmy, give me a hero name real quick. Anything.
Grognard.
Grognard. Got it. uh, Andy, are we in a forest, spaceship, tropical island, haunted mansion? What do you got? You're on mute. Did you say, I didn't get it if you said it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I'm sorry. We're on a tropical island.
Tropical island. And Beth, give me a character trait. Your hero for the hero, Grognard.
Hilarious.
Hilarious. Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to see here is that it's going to say, yeah, great. Grognog, the hilarious hero, steps onto a tropical island where adventure and absurdity are sure to collide. The sun blazes, the waves laugh, and something strange stirs in the jungle beyond. Am I ready to start seeing one? Yep. Okay, so what you're going to see here is that it's going to quickly start getting into the story here. And Gregnog tiptoes barefoot across the sun-warmed sand, crackling jokes to no one in particular as a coconut plunks down beside him. Perfect comedic timing. The island hums with life, rainbow colors, so on and so forth. Then it gets down and it says, what do you want to do next? Because it gave us some options. It says, do you want to tell the funniest joke he knows to win the parrot's favor? Or do you want to grab the whispering sandwich and run for it? I mean, I kind of want to grab the whispering sandwich. So we hit 2 and the story keeps going, right? And so I can show you, it's saying bold move, and we can get on with that story. You can see here, Brocephus, Tropical Island, and Clever. I ran this earlier. And so we have scene 3. And at any point, if I'm done with this back and forth and choose your own adventure, if I just say end, it'll give me a finale. So this is not to just show you, hey, I built an, you can use this GPT if you want, but that's not really the demo. The demo is to show you what's on the backside. What is making this run and why is it running so efficiently? So you might be looking at this GPT and thinking like, well, it doesn't look that complex, Brian. But let me show you how you could take something simple like this and build upon it. So we are going to go to the backside of this GPT. And the first thing I want to show you is that we have a fairly simple master prompt. I will share, by the way, join our community, go to the dailyishowcommunity.com. And if you want access to all these files, exactly as I put in this GPT, so you can use them to build off of, I will put that all in our community, but you got to go join the community to do that. So this is the master prompt on here. And what you're going to find out and why I call this the router method is right in here with this execution rules, it tells it, hey, go look at this router file. The router file then tells everywhere where to go. It is the director of GPT. And so now the router file, if we look down here at our different files, we just have a simple setup here. We have our adventure router file, which the master prompt is telling to go look at first. That adventure router file says, hey, depending on what's going on, do we need the task 3 finale, the task 1 adventure setup, which is what you first saw, or do we need the meat of it, the task 2, which is the story mode? Going back and forth. And then we have one extra document, which is helps and commands. So if I go and say, like, what are some, what are they called? Hotkeys? Keys I can use. All right, I didn't spell that right. But anyway, it should go in there and tell me some of the short commands I can use. And that's pulling from that command doc there. So you could see it here. How to start, continue, end. If you want to keep the story going, there you go. So see us correctly from this file. So the point of just showing this, and I'm not going to, so we can get on to everybody else's stuff. This has been a big, big game changer for me. So what it is, again, I'll put it in the community at some point today or over the weekend, and it's a master doc or master prompt that is basically going to the router doc that then tells it where to go. Now, this is really, really simplistic, but this is what I use for the biggest GPTs. And now I have pushed this to 10 plus documents. I have pushed this to very complex things happening. And what I have noticed is where in the past, my custom GPTs were limited by sort of what I could put in prompting outside the master prompt, which I could do. The router document having that extra piece of organization and telling it where to go and being sort of the foreman goes a really, really long way. So there you go. I just exposed how I'm building all my custom GPTs. That's exactly the process that I use to build custom GPTs for all my clients. And there's literally hundreds or dozens of these out right now that clients use and stuff. So this is the process until I find a better one. And I hope that helps you guys. Okay, who's up next?
I can go. Okay. So, this one was actually a problem that we had, and we weren't really sure how to tackle it. So we have a client who I think, over 2 decades has about 10,000 contacts in their database. And we're talking about, so they target dentists, hospitals across Canada, but primarily the United States. And so the question they had is, hey, could we update these contacts? And like many businesses, your CRM you just keep putting more and more companies as your business grows. But if you had a company that became a client, you wouldn't update them. And if you had a prospect, and just things get busy, and if you don't have the resources, it just sits there. So essentially, hey, what could AI do to review essentially all of HubSpot? They have a HubSpot instance, about 10,000 worth of HubSpot contacts. And so we looked at it at different ways. One would be, the easiest way we thought is, hey, could we use deep research to research every single company, or should we go with contact? So the problem was, should we start with a company or should we start with a contact? Because the client was like, hey, you know what we could do? You start with a contact. Could you research the contact, then see if that contact still works at the company, same job title? And if they don't, what company do they work for? And I was like, well, that's starting to get a little complicated there. So what we did instead is, hey, let's research the company, give us all the titles that you'd like, and let's go with that. And so what we did is share my entire screen. So we did a couple things. I'm going to move this over. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So this is a sample of the contact. Like, I had to delete a lot of fields, but this is the company name, and this is the company, their contacts in that company with their emails, not even job titles. And we only took a sample, so we had 287. And so we ran it through. We thought, okay, let's do 2 branches here. Let's do deep research. So we're like, hey, let's do deep research. I'm going to hit it with Gemini. I'm also, let's go something completely different. I'm going to go try Manus. I'm going to try GenSpark, and let's build an automation, and let's see which one can get us the more accurate in a timely manner. So we kind of pressed the issue with deep research, and after multiple tries, essentially what we got. So here's the list of all the titles that they were looking for. So what we found out is deep research can't do, for this specific task, more than 45 to 50 contacts at a time, like companies at a time. That's a lot of research it's doing, right? So we essentially had to put it in batches of 40, 45, and it would take about 17, 20 minutes per batch. So it'd be batch, then give me a CSV, I'd paste it, do the next batch, do the next batch, do the next batch. And then, it took me the whole weekend, but it was more of just doing other things while doing it. Gemini was poor at it, but I only tried the full batch. I didn't try by batch. I found the same limitations in Manus, and I found the same limitations in GenSpark. GenSpark did the same quality as deep research in terms of it needs 40-45. It would give me 40-45 back. But eventually what we did was it's probably faster for us to just run an automation. So essentially what we did is it was a Google sheet. I'm building it to an Excel spreadsheet, and then we create the automation. We actually put the new Think um, tool in there to ensure accuracy. And we were trying all sorts of different tools to see which one was better. I think Perplexity Sonar. Google's was okay, but we were kind of confused which one's free, which one's wasn't. So like, this seems free, but it works. But this one's not free, but it doesn't work. But then this one works. And we're like, because it's a lot of stuff, right? If like you put Flash, it's like, I don't know what to use. And then it's like, should I go with Flash 2.5? And it's like, there's a rate limit, but it's free. And so we're like, hey, you know what? Perplexity Sonar Pro does the best job out of all of this. We're just going to stick with that. So that's what we did. So what we did here, so from this, we turned it into this. And then that was purely created by the automation. And so, yeah, that is essentially the use case.
Nice work. Yeah, I think it's interesting that if you do something iteratively, like one contact at a time through an automation, you're not gonna run into the sort of context and or confusion issues that you found when you were trying to use even the super agent from GenSpark.
Yeah, yeah. And what we found too is after about you're right. It can only do batches of 40-45 at a time. And in a single thread, it can only do about 140, because once you've hit the 140, it gets confused. And sometimes it would, like, let's say you're on batch 80 to 100 or 120, it would go to batch 40 and 60 or 40 and 80. So you're like, oh, crud. So you have to be very, very precise on like, hey, I want you to do batch this, start with this company. And then it would get it. But then after a while, like the context window is way too big. Then you're like, hey, I can't. So you have to essentially take that batch, finish it, put a new batch in. So it's just like, well, the automation is probably the best way. But then you're like, okay, how many tokens am I going to burn using that? So it's kind of
There's a lot. And not, I mean, not burn, but like, isn't it like, yeah, there's a cost comparison. I've been dealing with this a lot, Carl, with you were talking about Gemini and getting poor responses and stuff. I've been running into this just with 4.1 mini nano versus regular. And it is like, those are 1 million context windows, right? But it's difficult to find that fine line of running through tokens versus getting quality outputs. But if you can find that balance, like what you were showing with your N8N, I think that workload, that it makes a lot of sense. It probably is super cost effective for the client.
I think so. The other one, which I didn't try, but we found one that worked, and we're like, okay, we spent a lot of time with this. Let's just run with what we have. Is Lindy's Swarm. So I think like you can probably swarm it, right? So like if one agent does one, duplicate it for all these things though. And I think this is what the lesson too is like, when you are hearing about agents and what it could do, all the examples are very, very, very generic. But an example like this, you're like, okay, there's too many steps in here that you have to think about, that an
Mhm.
agent can like, can it do this? Oh, it stops at 40 because it gets confused. It stops at 45, but then it stops at 100. And then even the agent, it's like, oh crap, it's putting the thing in the wrong line. Oh, it's not sourcing properly. Oh, it's only, so what was funny is the task was to get back the spreadsheet so they can upload it back into HubSpot and clear the names. But the second part of that, which we haven't done yet, is now we have to review the names inside their contact list, because we don't want to replace all the ones that are still legitimate with the new ones. So it's a two-pronged process there. I don't think any agent can do all of this. Like we're pushing the envelope with Manus, GenSpark, everything. I was like, nah, nah. Like this is a real like the problem was just update our contact list, but if the number of steps that you have to do to understand it, that tells you this is like a real business problem, not like some, oh, here's my ultimate assistant that can just do the same.
You're pointing out a really big, not issue, but like something people need to consider. Like as a human, we can simplify that as update contacts. And
Yeah.
we can also, any person who's been in business can reasonably fill in the blanks. If you gave them a list of just high level, like A, B, C, D, E, you're even going even further and they're going to fill in the blanks. And this is where AI, as of right now, you're pushing the limits of where it's capable of filling in the blanks that a reasonably competent human would be able to do. If you're trying to look at like an AGI versus human type thing, this is where it falls down a bit because, and it won't always, by the way, this is, what we say, this is as bad as it'll ever be. So you're pushing the boundaries today and next year, this won't even be close to the boundary,
Yeah,
but
like I'm
you're
sure
showing where we are.
I have a feeling if we did this a year from now and put it into deep research, its understanding of the actual problem and what you're looking for is going to be so much better because even deep research got it. We took a while for us to figure out the prompt. And then it isn't just the initial prompt, it's prompting after the 40. You're like, okay, I have to ensure that start from number or start from company M. Start from this. It's like, does it mean this? Like, no, start from this and keep going forward. Because the questions it would ask me is, oh, do you want me to start from this and pick the top companies? And no, don't pick any companies. Start from that company and just keep going down the list. And then sometimes they would ask, oh, do you want me to start from that company and go start again? It's like, no, that is not that. Why would you even
Makes zero sense. Why would you do that? Yeah. I was with AIs like you're like, nope, you're not getting it. I won't make you
Hey, Carl, which model were you using in deep research?
So I used Oath. This one we started with 4.0. Then we're like, oh, '03, because that's when it came out. And we're like, oh, let's run it through '03. '03 got it. And we're like, okay, let's just keep going. So at the end, if we didn't do the automation, '03 would have gotten this. But the limitation in '03 was the context window, the entirety of it. It can't, there's no way it could do 287, let alone 10,000. Impossible. I doubt Gemini, there's no way. 10 million context window, I'll believe it when I actually use it. No, it can't do that. Like the complexity required to keep doing this over and over and over and over and over, too much. So, and then even the latest agents, still too much for it. GenSpark did a pretty bang up job though, keeping up. So like that's pretty smart. But then the automation was just made it easier. I'm just gonna burn tokens to it, but it's like, oh, it's like it makes sense, and it just flows easier, and we just let it go without me having to come back and be like prompting it over and over and over again. And the last thing is, what is easier for the client? Do we have to teach them all the deep research stuff, or just say, hey, load it 250 at a time? That's probably easier to do it that way than deep research it. Yeah.
Mm.
Nice work.
And let's not forget too, as we pivot and let's get into another use case here from somebody else. But I mean, we kind of saw this in it wasn't Sam, but it was somebody else in Tokyo, and they straight up showed basically ChatGPT connected to CRMs and called it GPT for sales or something like that. So if it's not right now, I mean, ChatGPT is just now connecting to like you in your Teams account in Enterprise, maybe Enterprise. I can connect it to my Google Drive and I can ask questions now of live documents inside a Google Drive. And that's just happened in the last, 3 weeks or so. And that was a bit of a pain to get set up through credentialing, but nonetheless. So they've said Slack is next, that Notion is after that, so on and so forth. CRMs are coming. And so what you're also attempting to do, Karl, I do see as like almost like a cron job where it's going to be able to batch within Only O3 is going to get smarter in whatever the next iteration. Memory is going to get longer. There's going to be some sort of like virtual RAM type situation, right? That starts holding things that are important, like not all memory. It's going to start getting smart enough to go,
Yeah.
you got this really long context window, but these are the only things that probably matter in virtual memory. And it kind of brushes away the other stuff as opposed to a 10 million context window. And it's going to have your direct data that it can read directly from the CRM. And as soon as all those things kind of get together, boom, you, as Jimmy would say, Bob's your uncle, you got your answer, right?
Yeah.
With that in mind, Jimmy, are you ready to go? I don't care whoever wants to go next, but are you ready to go next, Jimmy?
I can. I've been enthralled with everybody's use cases and things like that, and I figure I'd just wrap it up with my thing. But I can go first, unless anybody wants to go before me. No, I'm good.
Go for it, man. Just, yeah,
Okay.
you got to go.
Cool. All right. So, like I said right at the opening, there's a lot of new people coming to the AI space, right? AI, we're still just on the beginning of the upward trajectory of the bell curve when it comes to AI awareness and literacy, right? We're starting to see a higher percentage usage in businesses and things like that. But for the most part, people still use the internet how they use the internet. They're still doing Google searches, right? We might see a little dip in it, but we're still seeing the same kind of behavior. So I wanted to kind of approach uh, the example here as one of what are the things that we use the internet for that we can get people into using AI or taking an AI first look at it. I know all of us just go right to Perplexity or we go right to our AI tools every single day. That's for sure. Well, how about the people who don't really know anything or are on the outskirts? So I wanted to quickly go over some of the basic behaviors and then show the example that I had in my own personal life, which I thought was interesting in the fact that we're finally where I think a lot of people think AI will really help them, right? Even if it's a silly example. All right. So the basic behaviors we see is finding information, communication, entertainment, shopping or managing your life, participating in groups, and then of course, using the internet for like passwords or security practices or, having those policies in place. So not so much the last couple, but the primary one is finding information, right? And so people have been using for decades now, um, Google. It's become part of the vernacular. Oh, just Google that, right? Just go find that. And this is search in general, but Google is the Kleenex of web search. And so I was just thinking, it was like, okay, what is the everyday person who uses the internet? What kind of situations they're in? And often when I'm hanging out with people or I'm just in a group of people, we're trying to remember that thing, right? Whatever the thing is. Oh, where did we go? Where did we visit? Where did we stay? What did, all of those kinds of things. And inevitably, and if you're from my generation or older, uh, it's, it behooved you to try to remember everything. But now you have a supercomputer and the internet in your hand. So just Google it. All right. So how do we change our behavior from moving from Google to an AI first or an AI centric search? Let's pick out an example. So my example is, and I guess I should share this. So my example is a situation I came up with when I was searching for, or I was just doom scrolling through through TikTok. All right. So, so I came across this show. I saw a clip on TikTok, and I just came across this show, and I was like, "What's going on here?" There's some royal prince dude in some period piece or whatnot. And of course, I play D&D, so that's already like the trigger in my brain. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, is this a fantasy show that I've never seen before? That can't be. And then the rest of the scene is some woman transforms from an animal and then starts engaging with this royal person, and then that's where the clip ended. I'm like, okay, hold on, they've got shape shifting, there's obviously magic stuff, and it's got some royal medieval stuff. I'm sold. I got to know what this show is. But like most things on TikTok, no hashtags, no description. There wasn't even any likes or comments on it. No one put the name of what the show was. So irritating, by the way, if you've ever.
Super irritating. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's so irritating. Just put the name in there. That's all we want. Yeah, no, don't try to drag me to watch the thing for 60 seconds if I'm not interested. Okay, off the soapbox there. But so how am I going to find this out? If I go to Google, I'm going to spend a whole bunch of time going, okay, it's got a royal guy. It's got a shape-shifting woman. Is that going to get me a good Google search? Obviously not. So let's hop over to ChatGPT and use O3's reasoning detective work. And I was kind of impressed with myself because I just identified all of the visual elements I could, and I made ChatGPT O3 think about my silly, stupid show question for almost 2 minutes. So for me, that's a feather in my cap. You mean it didn't take 2 seconds? That's awesome. I made it think. Um, so you can see it goes through systematically, right? Of trying to find things, examples, corrects itself several times. So all really impressive things. And it finally found the show out of everything. I was amazed with it. I was like, I just gave you the description of the characters and some of the visual elements, and you were able to track down who clips from the show, images from the show, breaks down how it found used my clues to find it, and then gave me a description of the show and where I could find it. And it's My Lady Jane, season 1. Unfortunately, there probably won't be a season 2, but super fun show. Love it. If you like those alternate history, hip, self-aware kind of storytelling, it's a good one. But
So this is like super satisfying, Jimmy. And what I also like, first of all, it's just satisfying to get the answer, right? That you
right?
Yeah, I just did it same, not as detailed, but I did something. I didn't use O3 for it, but there was a show. I remember I have all girl cousins, and so we used to watch a lot of Dirty Dancing and The Breakfast Club and stuff growing up, and so I'm like really really familiar with all those shows. But there was one where it was sort of like a take on Annie, and there was a lot of singing and dancing, and for the life of me, I couldn't think of it. But ChatGPT found it in one prompt. One prompt. It was like it ran from 87 to 89. It only had 16 episodes. These were the top songs. Here were the characters. I was like, what? I mean, it like talk about like being super helpful. But the other thing I was going to say too, Jimmy, is like, I didn't see it on your screen, but did you think to say, hey, given all this, what are some other shows that I perhaps missed?
See, I didn't even think to do a follow-up, right? I was just so impressed as like, it found the thing based off of my 5 clues. Awesome. Now, can this thinking process and this deduction process, we should make a Sherlock GPT once you can use O3 as a backend, honestly. And just track down those nonsensical, like not important at all. This is not an important use case. This is not going to affect your business or anything.
It is.
But I think in the terms of how people use the internet and how comfortable they are with using the internet, using their phone and all this kind of stuff, we there's a clear gap in AI literacy, a clear gap in.
Hmm.
Wow.
Sorry, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take this back out. We're back there. We're still here. We're still right. You were saying, Jimmy, everybody else.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah, I think everybody can add themselves out too. All right. Okay. But so what this made me realize is in the day-to-day conversations people have, these are the kinds of things that always come up. And I know when I'm talking to my friends, it's stupid stuff like, "What is that thing?" It's like, "Well, let's find out," especially if someone makes a bold claim, and then, and they're always like, "No, this is what it was." It's like, "No, I don't think so. I think it was this." And you always head Google to try and figure it out, and everyone ends that conversation while they look up on their phones. But I think it's a clear idea of, hey, AI literacy and AI awareness is still really, really low in the mainstream, and let's meet them where they're at to onboard them. And if you can get
100%.
someone to just get a better result or better experience from how they're doing it before, you've locked them in. They're just gonna start doing it this way because they just it's just a better experience. So no need to go to Google anymore. Just go to ChatGPT o3, answer all your questions.
And I just want to, I think Justin makes a good point here, and he's validating because, like, I know what you were saying. You're like, oh, no, it's not serious. But, like, Justin's pushing back in the same way I am. And he says any use case of AI someone finds value in is a legitimate use case. I 100% agree with that. And,
Sure.
look, we all need more like joy, more fun in our lives. We all work really hard. We all have lots of things going on. And so if you can use a quick O3 to find a really fun one-off, only gonna be 1 season, not gonna make it to season 2, but, it really, really helps you out, uh, 100%. And I will just say this before we move on to Beth and Andy's, examples here, or demos, is, Jimmy, I know you'll love this, like, I had completely forgotten what happened in season 1 of Andor. Completely. I thought I remembered some of it, and I realized I remembered none of it. Like, I was way, way off. But what did I do? YouTube, ChatGPT to help me get spun back up because I was like, "Wait, hold on. What's going on with this character?" By the way, first 3 episodes, phenomenal. So,
Uh,
really, really good.
yeah,
That show is
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just you now my brain's going all over places. It's like, oh man, then I could have it just collect the clips of
You can literally hold up your phone to the TV and be like, "Hold on a second. Listen to this 10 seconds and tell me what reference this has in Andor. Like,
Yep.
who's talking? This is it. Be like, and just listen. Just hold it. Listen to my TV. This is what's going on. Then go to O3 and be like, what is going on here? Like that kind of thing in voice mode. So there's a lot of cool ways you can do that. Okay, we got to keep moving on for time here. Beth or Andy, who's ready for their demo?
I can go.
Go for it.
Okay. So here you see this course platform that I've been working on for a few months, and it's called Sensei, and it is all about prompting because basically all of the things that I do every day with AI really depend on how I instruct the AIs to respond. So here you have 5 chapters with a total of 49 lessons. Let's just jump into one here. Um, First topic, prompt types and strategies, and the techniques and strategies in prompting. I'm going to pick this lesson. This is what the lesson UI looks like. This has been completely vibe coded by lovable.dev. And you can see over here on the left, this is the interface that I use to interact with it to change the UI and to build the whole back end, which includes Supabase as the foundation data for generating all these lessons. So each lesson is just one page. You can read through it pretty quickly. It gives you example prompts that you can put in this tutor chat over here on the left. So you can either practice or experiment with how an AI tutor who's sitting here waiting to interact with you would respond to any of these example prompts. Or you can add your own prompt down here. So let's just add one. Let's say, what is a use case example where very many examples should be provided? All right. So I do that. The tutor thinks a little bit about that. And notice here if I'm working with the tutor now, I can open this up. I can read the example. Here's this is few shot or many shot learning. Okay, so I didn't use that term before, but the AI tutor gives me that up. An example would be you're classifying reviews as positive, negative, or neutral. You would need to provide a number of examples, not just one example of each, in order to give it the sensibility about that. Okay, so this course is actually available to you if you're in the community. There's a new channel there called Sensei, and you can do this 49 course learning experience using the tutor if you just go in there and sign up. So try it out. But now I want to give you a picture of the back end that's really helping with all of this. So here's ChatGPT o3, which is working for me in a number of different ways. I have two different projects that I built, one for lesson and prompt editing, where I am editing content and getting o3's advice on how to change the content. And it provides back context data that will actually influence the generative AI that's running in Sensei to create a new element of the lesson if it's been missing. And O3 is evaluating this against its own knowledge of the subject of the lesson. And here's an example. I wanted to just say again, prompting so important. For this particular project, I have some files that I provided it, but the instructions are always the most important part. And so here I have a very nice structured prompt where I tell it you're going to be assisting in evaluating, refining quality and presentation of each topical lesson you generate from the data in the files that I provide you. So it's going to take the same data that the Sensei AI lesson generation does, and it's going to do it, and then it's going to I give it explicit instructions on how to do that. Here you've got to select these particular variables from that data in the files. You're going to review and evaluate the generated lesson that results, and you're going to determine what would make a better and more complete coverage of the lesson topics. So this is a tool I'm using to improve how the lesson presentation runs in Sensei. And here's an example of this kind of evaluation process. So it's generated one of the lessons, lesson 14, called chaining sequential prompts. And what it does in response to that is it does a complete evaluation. It determines what components of the context data that generates the lesson need to be changed. It gives me a downloadable change log. I then can use that change log to go in to the lesson editor in Sensei and make those adjustments. And what I have then is, instead of having to, get feedback from users, I have an AI that's helping me continuously update and improve that whole thing. Okay, now what's the next step in this whole process? I'm refining the prompting course, but now I'm going to be using GenSpark to create a whole new course. And I give it the same context data files that I gave ChatGPT o3. And now my instruction is, look at this. This is the simple prompt that I gave to GenSpark, which is a super agent, right? This one can do almost everything. The one thing it has a limitation about is it doesn't generate files and produce documentary output of what it does, as well as Manus does. So those are the two main players in this sort of super agent space, Manus and GenSpark. But I'm using GenSpark here. Here's the objective. Study this course I gave it from Sensei prompting AI assistance, and build a workflow or application that can receive a text prompt for the creation of a new course on any user-provided subject, and then deliver a CSV file for that course in the same format as the one supplied to you. And the first step in that process is you've got to create a taxonomy of all the lessons that are necessary to cover that topic that you're given. All right, so GenSpark has been doing that very nicely. Here's kind of the tail end of where I'm working with GenSpark right now. And it's generated a lesson in a new course that I gave it, which is going to be state-of-the-art tools for various business applications of AI. And here it's going through and revising the lesson prompt for the AI Soda Tools course. That gives you an idea of the way that you can use multiple AIs on various components of a project like this. And ultimately, what I hope to have is the ability to have an application that includes an automation that goes out to GenSpark or similar, because there'll always be something new that comes along that might be just that much better. And it's happening very quickly. That lets me choose any topic in the world and will immediately create a course for Sensei that can be loaded up there by simply uploading the CSV that's provided. And there's the entire course.
I love this, Andy. I mean, look, we've watched you in the background work really, really hard over the months on Sensei and learn new systems and stuff. And to see this and now what GenSpark's doing, it's that whole thing about once you have sort of an example, we always talk about few shot in terms of a prompt, but when you have an example, you have more than the sum of its parts, because what you're able to do now with something that's a more advanced system like a GenSpark is say, this is not the same content, but this is the outline, this is the pattern, this is the template of how we are going to go about doing it. But now I want to do it with some other topic. And the fact that it's starting to do that for you means that, pretty quickly people are going to be able to, if they wanted to white label, what you're building in Sensei for their own really unique niche, probably type, topics that they want to get into and stuff like that. And we've talked behind the scenes about my wife and what she does with her nutrition students, because she runs the dietetic internship in Florida. So, I could see a lot of big value here. Andy mentioned it, but I want to mention it again. You can actually go and get access to Sensei right now by going and joining the Daily AI Show community. You can go to the dailyaishowcommunity.com and it will have a sign up link there for you to join the Slack community. And then it's in the Sensei channel. So you just have to browse the channels and find Sensei, and then you'll see it right there. I just did it. So I'm in there, and there's already people saying, "Wow, Andy, this is amazing." And they fully intend to be using it. So that's super, super awesome. That's really, really cool.
Thanks. Have fun.
Beth, you're up, and then I have just the Supabase one after you. If I don't know if anybody else has it, but just as we look at time here.
Yeah, I have a second one too, but
Go for it.
this is a very popular show.
Yeah,
I
do it.
can totally see that we are
We're gonna go over
going
it.
to do another show. No, 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 we don't have to do it. All right. My thing is weaving off Andy's and Brian's. Um, I subscribe to the religion of selfish software, right? I'm going to create an app that just does exactly what I want it to do. It's not clean. We go into the command prompt on my Windows machine, but this is what our transcripts look like when they come out. One of the things that you might see is that in this, it says, so this is the data I showed today. That is the Daily AI Show mistranscribed. So there are many things in this that I want to correct. I often do. The prior thing was find and replace. Now I want AI to do something that helps me. So I'm going to go back here and I am going to go. Yes. All right. So then I started with having conversations with Gemini about what I wanted something to do. So I say, "This is the transcript. Give me a list of things that you can correct. Give me a custom Python script for being able to make corrections like always correct Jimmy to Jyunmi." I said again, this is selfish software. I just need the Python script. I'm going to go to the command prompt. I'm gonna open a command window. Let me change sharing to that. Actually, I'm gonna open a command window, and it's gonna give me the prompts. Sorry, I didn't open it before. Let me share that window as well. Da, 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 da. Okay, does it let me do it? It does. Thank you. Okay. So that's my command window. I am just going to go to E because that's where this is. If you ever did DOS stuff, that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to change the directory to transcripts. I am going to list the files there. I have a Python script
Beth, I don't think we're
Transcript.
following what you're talking
Oh,
about.
really?
Yeah.
Ha show on stream. There we go. Okay, thank you. So we went to the E drive, we went to the transcript directory. We can see now that I'm doing these things, and I can just run that file. So I can type Python, I can type correct first v2.py, and I can do the name of the file 24 ep 449 underscore 7. Yeah, boy, this is fun. I should have renamed this. Mistakes. All right, that txt. And
Mistakes
there
is
we go.
mistakes is spelled wrong.
Oh, and that's why. That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, it's kinda fun that mistakes was the word.
Yep. It is. Okay. Can
I
I?
tried to get you, by the way, before you hit enter, but I
No. You're good. Alright, mistake. So you can see it was actually looking for it, and it did not do it because it couldn't find the file. Now there we go. It's corrected. And if I do a dir here, I have a second script now because of what the script said. So now we've had the first pass of the corrections. So I am going to go now to show the next step. That works, that's fine. But what I'd really like is to not have to mess with this as much as I was. And, so now I'm talking to Gemini about how that might happen. Go ahead and look for, corrections that you might make with this. The first corrections like Jimmy, to Jyunmi, Karl with a C to Karl with a K, day of the AI show to daily AI show, etcetera, have been made. Now this is a pass that Gemini has done, and I think this is hilarious, that Jumi said "Keikos" at the end of a show. It's in Hawaiian. Gemini says, "I cannot assist you with language because I am a language model." So then I'm trying to find ways to connect, the idea of making those corrections to Gemini, I had it number them. So now we do all this. It initially was a custom Python script that made the corrections. Then I wanted to change that as well. So I went to ChatGPT, and I have a job identifier custom GPT. We'll put that link in the Slack as well. So when I'm going to consult with an expert, I get something like I give the goal, and then it gives me who I should consult with, what those job titles are, and what those skills are. So you're the best product strategist, technical product manager in the world with specialized expertise into product discovery, technical scoping, UX planning, highly skilled in road mapping, user flow mapping, tech stack evaluation, and requirements documentation. So now I specifically need help in product planning, interview consultation that results in you writing a full product requirements document that I can give an AI coding assistant to generate the PWA app. Then I explain a little bit about the pain point and what I'm looking for. Now we're into the Q&A part, which I love, right? So yeah, it's eliciting the information from me that it needs to be able to generate the PRD. And I am continuing to answer these questions. It's actually really interesting. So, right, I don't always know. So this was asking me, do I want just the text file? Does it need to be in JSON or a CSV for the captions? Do we want to do SRT only, or do we wanna support VTT? The benefit of the caption script is that it, is, much tighter to the time code if you're looking to do an edit based on a time code. I ask for information, right? Like, I don't know, does it matter? What do you recommend? And so it gives me the answer back. It's a true conversation, and that's the way I like to use these systems. Awesome. So now we get to the final thing, and here we are. This is the PRD. I start here because I'm also interested. Sorry, I just opened it in Canvas. You guys know how to. This is Canvas. If you haven't done it, this lets me edit in here if I wanted. I don't. But that's the PRD. I can ask for it as a markdown file, which I did. That's what that is. And then I'm like, okay, so let's just play. What are the scripts that you would give me with this? So the first version of this PWA app is uh, done in the thread of creating the PRD, right? Gives me an index file, gives me a JavaScript file, manifest JSON, and service worker.js. I am saying, hey, walk me step by step through this stuff, right? Like I want to do this. How can I use a simple npx serve locally? I sort of understood that, but it didn't entirely. It is literally giving me the information. You want to check whether you have the proper version of nodejs.org, right? So it's literally, I'm asking it, just give me what I need. It is doing a ton of things, and then we hit a snag. And for me, when we hit a snag, we are going to take what this AI has given me, and I'm going to take it over to another AI. So this is one of those places where you're like, oh, Claude, um, ChatGPT started to like misbehave, and I know you're so good. So I want to bring my stuff all to you and have a conversation about the updated PRD, right? This is based on that previous one. Now we've got like what we're looking for in this next version of this. I play with Claude for a little while. Claude definitely finds the error that ChatGPT couldn't find because for Claude, it's not the thing that made the error is not in its context memory, right? So I'm just moving through into this. We do some stuff with that. We play with Claude. This is the end of that conversation. That is it updating the MVP. Let's see. There is Yeah, okay. So in Claude, I can play with what's happening. I can choose the file. I can say, I can make sure that these things function. But the next step for me, and like it gives me fake data, I can, let's see, will the fake data work? Load demo data. Yeah, here we go. All right, so I can see this stuff is going to work in Claude. It gives me nice, pretty highlights. I can go down here. I can say select them all. Let's go ahead and do that grok and those AIs. Let's see. I'm sure there's something we don't want to correct. Let's just say it is this I. We don't want to correct that. I can choose and apply these things. So kabosh.
I want to officially apologize to you, Beth. It does look like all of the things that need to be corrected are words I say, including my name. So
They,
apologies.
they are not.
I think it's kibosh. I think kibosh was correct.
Is it? All right. Well, we're just gonna correct this. I can choose to apply it singly. Or I can choose to apply all of the selections and right here. So now all of the fixes are made. I can export the corrected TXT. But if you know me, oh, what if we made it better, right? What if we did more? So now we come over to actually creating a real transcript corrector for us. This is Replit. Pulled in all the files again, right? Hey, Replit, Claude is having some struggles. Can you help me create this corrector in a way that's really going to function? And this is the current version. I can pull in my
This is awesome.
transcripts. I can pull in my corrections. No, SRT. Whatever it is. I can pull
Okay,
in
I love the
well,
way it
whatever.
seemed like an intractable and too complex problem even to understand, and ultimately, using AI, you arrive at an application that simplifies the whole process, and you've built something that is now usable on an ongoing basis by our team to do that. Bravo.
I
Bravo,
mean,
And
bravo. Yeah.
it's no easy feat what you pulled off here. We know that on the back end and what you've done. And I mean, just if you just watch the last 10 minutes of this show and what Beth did, if you're listening to this show, I highly, highly recommend. I highly recommend watching all of this show so you can see what we're doing on screen between Sensei and everybody else. But I mean, that's a phenomenal example, kind of like Andy's as well, of using more than just one type of AI tool and just having an understanding of how you can use them to the best of their ability. So using the best of the AI tools and bringing that through. And obviously you have incredible knowledge. You're obviously very intelligent as far as what you know to do. You have Python coding experience and things like that that help, but you've bent the AI world around you, which is kind of the whole point, right?
yes,
Be the
right?
expert in what you do and bend AI to the will of what you need as opposed to trying to make everything stock. You
I firmly believe that the best use of AI is to augment and show our individual brilliance. And this was too hard a challenge to do, but it did not need to be. And it just a recap, right? Like literally, I said I want to do a thing. Who should I talk to about doing the thing? Then I talked to the thing about doing the thing. I said, "Okay, now, like, make the files. Cool. Tell me how to use the files. Okay, I'm stuck. I'm gonna go to somebody else." That's literally how those things happen.
Gwen is saying in the comments, very above me, way to go. Gwen, I think, what we love with these shows is not like, oh, I couldn't, by the way. I mean, it would take me forever to do what Beth just showed to do. But I mean, that's kind of like the point, right? It's like, it's just about ideas. It's about watching what Beth does or Andy does or Jimmy or me or Carl and saying, oh, that gives me an idea of something that I care about. And then going off on that path to try to see if you can solve for the thing that you care about. Because it's going to be different for everybody. But by seeing these, it provides inspiration. It provides an open idea, an open thought about like where can you go next with this stuff. I know we're past time, but I worked way too hard on this demo, so I'm showing my demo. Hell be damned, I don't care. It's Friday. We're going over. It's not like our shows don't come back after the outro anyway. So like,
Yeah, this is the after show.
yeah, we just might as well keep going. No, I'll try to keep this as brief as possible.
No,
So
no, take your time.
what we're going to do with this demo is I'm going to show you how we're going to take transcripts just like Beth just showed, but we're taking the fixed transcripts that Beth did and we're going to put them in Supabase. What is Supabase? It's a database. Why would we want to do that? Because we can embed them. What does that mean? Well, it means we're doing the vectorization of the tokens that will come out of the words. So let's follow the path. We have lots of words in a transcript. They turn into tokens. Those tokens need to be turned into embeddings. That is just a bunch of numbers. That's all you really need to know. They give us a vectorized, multi-dimensional space that is hard for us to comprehend outside of like 3 or 4D. It's like 1,500 dimensions, right? And it goes into a vector database like Supabase. There's others, like Pinecone and many, many others, but we use Supabase. So why are we doing this? Well, because we want to store appropriately these transcripts, in this example, in the Supabase database so that we can then come back and ask really complex queries and questions across those. So what I did was I have a bunch of files here that I just threw and they all say copy in them because it didn't like my text file. So I had to make it a Google file, all that fun stuff. And then we'll just follow the path here. This is from the AI weather forecast show, which was yesterday. No, step 447. So it was 2 days ago, or whatever day it was. Anyway, what did we talk about weather yesterday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. Anyway, so this week, so it's one of the things. Now, look, I'm going to show you in this. We're going to look at the N8M workflow, and it's fairly simple. I'm not saying that like Jude. I know you said that's a simple prompt, but the process is simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if I was really building this out, I just did this as a demo for the show today. I would have it loop over itself and pull every new document that showed up in that folder. But for the sake of simplicity in N8N, what I did was I just hard coded the ID for that document directly in here. Okay. So I'm replacing the document, then running it through. But you would not do that in actuality. You would have it just go look for the next document and then run it through. But I didn't do the loop in this case. And then we have 3 very, very similar pathways that all do the same thing, except the only real difference is what are we asking of the transcript? So in this top one, we're looking to get really simple ideas here. This is not how I would really do this, but simple, basic stuff like Beth was talking about. Give me the speaker, give me some sentiment analysis, topics, titles, and so on and so forth. Okay. The next one we're looking at does topic entity extraction. So identify top five main topics discussed in the transcript, extract all the entities, identify it, so on and so forth. You can see over here what our output looks like. It's in JSON, so it's a little harder to read at the moment. But if you dug in there, you would be able to see things like importance score 0.65, and then it's using the names, the topics, aardvark, so on and so forth, right? And then finally we have, and I won't dig into it, but keyword and search metadata does basically the same thing. They're all looking at this exact same document. So it's like this document, this document, this document. N8N works top to bottom. So it's always going to run this run first, then the middle, then the bottom. Okay. So now what's happening in these 4 over the after that? Well, we have to do 4 things to this after the LLM has had a chance to look at it. So this is our output over here on the right-hand side. This is what we're talking about, and it's in this format. You can see index message role, but that's not necessarily the format we ultimately need for it to get into Supabase. So the first thing we're going to do is use a little code like this. By the way, I don't write code, so I always ask usually Claude to write the code for me, and it does a pretty good job within 1, maybe 2 attempts. So don't feel like you have to write code. I just said to Claude, this is what I'm trying to do. Give me the code. And it does. So but you can see here in the double backslashes, get the OpenAI response, extract the content. If you can't do that, try to extract it a different way, but basically parse the data. And then you can see now it's even cleaner on the right-hand side. We have speaker, timestamp content, right? Total episode duration. So it's got some other metadata in here that we're going to want to pass along. Then we have to embed that. So now this is where we're using OpenAI's ADA 002. There are other embedding models. So we're using OpenAI. We're pulling in the input, and this is what embedded content looks like. This is what's going to go into the database. But this isn't all we need to put into the database because we have that metadata that needs to go with it. What was the show? When did it start? Who was talking? These kind of things. So what we want to do in this last step before Supabase is this is called a set. And so what we're doing is we're setting the speaker to match and timestamps. And here, following down here is the embedding. And usually I would put that after. I would usually swap these around because the embedding is going to be the longest one. And then we're using the document ID. If we were to scroll all the way down to the bottom, yep, the document ID, this is our single source of truth. This is our synthetic key, if you will. This document ID is the ID that came off of the Google Doc that makes sure that when we look across databases that if it's got this document ID, it's joining those tables together so we can do sentiment analysis across the tables. And then it finally goes through Supabase. And you can see the output here. And then if we go over to Supabase, I won't bore you with it going into the tables, but that basically pushed that data into the tables. And then just on the back end, we can do some really basic SQL questioning and get some results. But I'll show you like where this goes. This is really to test the data. So this quick SQL is saying like count distinct document IDs is episode count, right? So it's telling it, look at the document IDs, look for the segments, give us a sentiment score ranking. So then if we go down here, it's ranking it by speaker, saying that episode count, there was 5 episodes, 36 total segments. And then if we just go over here with the segments I'm talking about have an average sentiment score of 0.242. And then of course you would use that data to figure out whatever your questions are. And so this is just a really basic way. Again, I don't write SQL. I ask Claude, what should I ask of this data to make sure that everything connected the way it's supposed to make sure the data actually landed in the field. If we were going to do this for real, we would have fail safes in here that kick back messages to me in Slack or email or something like that says, hey, that data didn't land in Supabase the way you thought it did. So I would have error messages and things built into it. And then ultimately, we would have something that sort of looks like this. It could be in a different workflow, but essentially, when we open a chat, we would ask questions against that data. And so if we just look at sort of what we have here, it's going to fail on us because I don't have enough time to fix it. But basically, the LLM, it's going to look at Supabase, it's looking at our embedding model, it's coming back and using which model we want to talk to. And then it's going to come back. And then we could ask more complex thing than we did inside of Supabase. We could say stuff like, um, over the last 30 days, because it has dates in it, right? Over the last 30 days, tell me the person who spoke the most, let's be honest, it's probably me, who overspoke on the show, and what were some of the highlights or whatever, right? Something that an LLM would do really, really well with. But we need the complex embeddings in Supabase or Pinecone or a database, vector database to do it. So this is like when you hear something, oh, you can go put that in a vector database. There's systems there's software that'll automatically do this for you. Hey, take any Google Doc and throw it in there. And while those are okay, and this is a simple setup like what you see here, what this allows you to do is have a lot more authority and control and agency over how your data is chopped up. Those systems will simply throw it in a RAG system and make it available to you to ask questions against. And there's some great examples of why that'd be okay. But this is really allowing us to go a little bit deeper into it. And then the last thing I'll just show is this is what you would ultimately, I just built this out in Claude really quick, but this is like sort of a really, really basic hokey version of like a dashboard, right? So I can go to speaker analysis and I can say Andy, and I can say generate insights on it. And this is just going to use some dummy data in here and say Andy's spoken in 5 episodes with 30 total segments. His average sentiment score is 0.62, indicating generally positive discussions. I would say that's right. They tend to speak quickly at approximately 140 words per minute, right? So then we could go to like topic analysis or some semantic search. We could put our search query, generate insights on it. See, we'll do that. Found 5 semantic relevant segments. The top and match discusses Google's interpretation of dolphin video speak. Remember, we were talking about that on a news show not too long ago. Most relevant segments have a positive sentiment, so on and so forth. Okay. So basically, this is just showing you with N8N, with a little know how, it's not too hard. You can take documents that are important to you, not just transcripts, any work documents, anything that you're creating on the side, and you can put them into a vector database in order to ask really complex questions that would be very, very difficult for you to ask on your own. The point of all of this is to level up beyond what humans can do. We can pour over a lot of data, but it's time consuming, it's resource intensive. Once this is set up and you put those documents in right, this makes it very, very easy to ask very, very complex questions. And so when we look at what Beth is doing, and then we look at systems like this is going to enable us and everybody in the community eventually to ask really, really fun questions against 100, 450, today's 450, the 50th episode. So 450 different episodes, and we will be able to go in with a needle in a haystack, and Andy's going to be able to say, tell me when I've talked about this topic. When has MCP come up? But only tell me when I've talked about it. I'm curious because I might want to put like a sizzle reel together on that or something. And it's just going to come back with the answer to it. So really, really cool stuff. Just wanted to show that. I know we went over, but I think this is helpful to a lot of people. I hope that you guys got something out of it. With that, we're going to wrap up today's show. This now is officially, I think, our longest show ever, but that's okay. It's a lot of show me, and show me takes time. So if you really enjoyed the show, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're here 5 days a week doing things just like this, trying to make AI easier, simpler, talk about how we're using it in our day-to-day lives. We talk about all sorts of different topics. You can always continue the conversation, and we're going to be sharing some things like Sensei, as well as I've already put in my first demo with the ChatGPT router method. That's already in the Slack community. It's free for you. All you have to do is sign up by going to the dailyishowcommunity.com, and you will see it in there in the follow-up channel for like the shows, like what is it called? The after show, post show chat and feedback. That's the channel I put it in. Andy's is in the Sensei channel, and go join so that you can go get that stuff and use those documents, start building your own things. All right. Anything else, guys? Otherwise, we'll wrap this up for a Friday. That's it. All right. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Beth, anything? You good? Oh, go. Fingers crossed that it actually goes out. Yeah, well, we'll see. See you guys.